Are are we transmitting right now? Okay. So, just in case we're on YouTube right now, we have no idea what's going on. We've had a power surge or something around here. Okay. Reverend Jessica's checking in with us, letting us know we're on. All right. So, less chatter, more meditation. How about that? Well, let's start over again. So, in case you're still with us or just signing on, my name's Reverend Michael McMorrow. I am the spiritual director at the Center for Spiritual Living in Granada Hills, California, where we're coming to you from our sanctuary live to you on YouTube and on Facebook. And so, welcome. It also happens to be a very warm evening here in Southern California. So normally we would turn the air conditioning off, but because I'm a wimp, we're not going to do that tonight. All right, so let's. We start every service that we do here at the center, whether there's people here or not, with our ceremony opening ritual that we call lighting the flames of faith. And we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. That fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here this evening. So, we have here the first candle that we light for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the second candle for shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the third candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. The fifth candle we light for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. The sixth candle we light for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. The seventh candle we light for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. The ninth candle we light for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. And the 10th candle we light for all those who are as yet unaware of the power and presence of spirit in their lives, and for the space we hold for them here at our center, within our online community, and within our own hearts. And behind me, you see the healing candle. So please, speak aloud if you like, or put silently into the light the names of anyone you wish to have experience the healing flame of God's eternal love. And so just allowing ourselves to settle into this moment. we recognize that we are settling into the infinite heart of which we all share. That as there is no spot where God is not, we know that the sacred heart of the divine is expressing in, through, and as all peoples, and in, through, and as those who are listening this evening. So we allow ourselves just to settle into this, to be supported by this love, and to allow this love to find its way into the various places within our consciousness, within our body temple, within our thinking, that allow us to enlighten up and to freely and courageously express the light of the divine, the light of love, to express itself fully and completely as our life. So in this way, we raise ourselves in consciousness to the highest levels of expression, in body, mind, and spirit, as we know this truth for those with whom we are committed to, including our extended family of our brothers and sisters with whom we share the planet. And so from this place of conscious unity with the One, we are deeply grateful to know that all that God is expressing now, and that we are part of that in our own unique, individualized, and wonderful way. So from this place of gratitude for the words spoken here and the cares and concerns of those watching, we just take a deep breath. And on that release, we're releasing it unto that aspect of the mind of the divine itself that knows only to say yes, bound only by the law of its own being, which is infinite. We release it, let it be so. And together we acknowledge this by saying, and so it is. So tonight we got started a little late. We had a power outage, a little flash. Luckily we didn't lose any equipment. And sometimes life is like that, right? Get a little disruption, and we have to take time to investigate, to maybe bring some space to the situation, to find a way to respond, and then we move into action. And so that's what we did here this evening. Again, we are working with this book, Start Where You Are, which is not my book, Blue Collar Spirituality, Finding a God That Works, now available on Amazon. Just saying. But we're going to work with this book, which frankly, it's a much better book. So we've been working with compassionate action these last few weeks. And tonight's we're taking this from page 106 in the book, and the little subheading is cultivating patience. So I have to tell you, in my years before ministry, I was a carpenter, and I had a very reactive personality as a teen and young adult, and I remember consciously praying to be patient, to learn to be a patient man. And so what happens when you pray to learn patience? You get all kinds of trying situations, right? So the world out there doesn't suddenly get peaceful and calm, right? The ocean just doesn't go from a tempest to smooth seas. What happens, of course, is that more stuff comes up from which to practice cultivating patience. So I always found it ironic that I chose the field of carpentry or it chose me. I'm not sure which. But by hook or by crook, the Spirit can make whatever you're doing part of your spiritual practice. And certainly that's how I found carpentry to be. So cultivating patience, the last of the three basic principles of compassionate action is to cultivate patience, which is the same, she says, Pema Chodron says, is the same as practicing non-aggression. Patience and non-aggression are basically encouragement to wait. Now, isn't that an interesting way to think of patience? Encouragement to wait. Sometimes I think of Tonglen that way. You are in a situation in which you would normally just yell or throw something or think of the person you are with in the same old stuck way. And instead it occurs to you to begin to do the exchange for the other. This whole solid sense of self and other begins to get addressed when we cultivate patience. We learn to pause, learn to wait, learn to listen, and learn to look, allowing ourselves and others some space. Just slowing down the camera instead of speeding it up. It's a little bit like, Pema says, it's a little bit like the old advice to count to 10 before you say something. It makes you pause. If you become angry, afraid, or angry, there is a natural kind of adrenaline principle when that camera which is the mind, actually starts to speed up. The speeding up itself can bring you back to the present. You can use it as a reminder just to slow down, to listen and look and wait and develop patience. Abandon poisonous food and don't make gods into demons are warnings that only you know whether you are doing, if what you are doing is good practice. Anything could be used to build yourself up and smooth things over and calm things down or keep everything under control. Good food becomes poisonous food and gods become demons when we use them to keep ourselves in this room with the doors and windows closed. So remember, she spoke to our inner experience as having that we don't want to retreat into a locked room, and in fact to open the doors and open the windows to allow the flow of life to move freely. There's another slogan that she mentions which concerns compassionate action, and that is work with the greatest defilements first. So in the Buddhist sense, defilements are the ways of thinking or thought forms, if you will, that do not have the highest level of loving kindness within them. So she says, again, Pema, developing loving kindness for ourselves is the basis for compassionate communication and relationship. The time is now, not later. The greatest defilement is what you consider to be the greatest obstacle. So the greatest defilement of mine then is that aspect that only you know about, the one thing that you struggle with most. And defilement is such a strong word, right? It really is a strong word. But So from a religious science perspective, and this is actually why Buddhism is such a complementary practice with what it is that we do. So in being still within our meditation practice, being still within our contemplative practice, thinking and meditating are not really the same thing, although they share some characteristics, right? But if we identify that thing that that gets us agitated, let's think of defilement in that way. So from a religious science perspective then, we create an affirmation. Focus on that affirmation to help shift our attention away from that thought form that no longer serves us, to embrace the thought form from which we're wanting to make welcome and to allow, to demonstrate. And through that focus then we call forth our greatest yet to be. It's a little bit different than the Buddhist approach, right? So the Buddhist approach is to just observe it, right? And to observe it and not attach to it, right? And I think a Buddhist might say, with our approach using an affirmation, is to use the affirmation, but then don't be attached to that which gets demonstrated, right? Because then we're just setting ourselves up for suffering again. So it's an interesting back and forth, I think, with Buddhism and religious science. Religious science, I think, is an interesting approach for those of us in the West, because our consciousness is kind of pre-wired for acquisition, for acquiring, right? So this gets to be an interesting phenomenon as we get older, because at some point we come to see that acquiring things, status, wealth even, these things are fleeting, right? Because at some point we just end up asking ourselves the question, is there nothing more? Well, the answer to that is, of course, to develop our sense of connection with all of life. And in developing that connection, then, we come to see that the reality is that we're not lacking, and all the resources we need are within ourselves. Now, this is easier to say with a full belly and knowing where you're going to sleep tonight, or where your next dollar is coming from. But even within that kind of experience of life, right? So monks live very austere and ascetic lives, regardless of denomination, right? And yet they are still able to cultivate a sense of peace and patience. And of course, you and I, we are not monks. We are householders. And so, but the great promise is that we too can develop this sense of equilibrium, or as Nancy Shriver likes to say, her favorite word is homeostasis, that we can create a sense of balance in our life in spite of the outward conditions. And then as religious scientists, we know that we can, through focused thought, shift the even the world of conditions, through the power of mind in some crazy cosmic way, knowing that it's the Spirit that's doing the work. All right, so this way meditation then becomes very important to that work because it does help focus the mind. Because the mind is a very busy place, let's face it. And it's particularly in this day and age, in the outer world, of course, there's kind of demonstrating the agitation that many of us are feeling in our own inner experience, right? And so when we cultivate patience and peace and harmony, when we allow ourselves to be still, to allow the deepest aspects of consciousness to make itself known, then we can shift our experience of life for good. And we raise ourselves and we raise those around us, and that's a good thing. All right, so that's enough yakking. Let's meditate, shall we? All right, so if this is your first time joining us, so just wiggle around and jiggle around, and I'm just allowing myself to really feel the support of the chair. And Reverend David Alt used to say, allow the chair to be a metaphor of knowing that you are being supported by the universe right now in this moment. Okay, and so we're going to work with the breath, and what working with the breath means is that we're going to focus on the sensation of the breath moving in the nostril and also with other body sensations to resist reacting to them, but rather to observe them. Now, in focusing our attention on the breath, the mind will begin to still. And then we, in time, by focusing on the breath, we'll go deeper and deeper into a meditative state. Now, you may find that you get hooked by a thought. And then the thought takes a thought, and then the thought takes a thought, and those thoughts together then become a story or a scheme. And then you'll go, oh, look at me. I'm into tomorrow, or I'm into last year, whatever. So that's fine. This is what the mind does, particularly as a new meditator. Just simply take a deep breath and release. And then you just start over, just monitoring the movement of the breath in the nostril. And as you go deeper, see if you can detect the movement of the breath on your upper lip. Okay? That's really all there is to it. And of course, staying out of the judgment about what you think is supposed to be happening here tonight. That's always helpful. All right, so let's take a deep conscious breath then, and release. This is so good for the lungs right now, letting it all out, and then taking a deep breath. Hold it at the top, and release. Exhale all of it. And inhale. And release. All right, that's it. And so we're just going to bring our attention to the breath. And I'm just allowing my hands to rest at the side, and then I'm just comfortably placing them into my lap. And I'm bringing my attention to the movement of the breath in my nostril. Just breathing easily and naturally. The tummy rises and falls. We're not forcing anything. So we're just going to do a quick body scan. Bring our awareness to the bottom of our feet, to the top of our feet, up the leg, into the knee. Now, sometimes we can torque that knee a little bit. If you got a little twist in there, go ahead and adjust that. Into the sit bones. So just bringing our attention to our sit bones firmly anchored into the chair or the cushion. The spine is erect, free of tension, balanced over the sit bones. If you feel a little tension in your lower back, you can tuck your tailbone in underneath there. That'll release that. Again, the tummy rising and falling easily. Keeping our attention on the breath. So the spine is straight, balanced over the sit bones, the head balanced over the spine, the chin slightly up, the eyes either closed or slightly open. The Drew's gaze. Again, the movement of the breath in the nostril. The movement on the breath on the upper lip. On the next exhale, just relax the face. Bring your attention to above your eyebrows and your forehead. Bring your attention to the crown of your head. Follow the breath as we move into the silence for about 20 minutes. And I'll keep time for you, so you just go deep as you can. So bringing your attention gently back into the room and staying with the breath. So we're going to work with this space of peace and serenity we've created here together this evening. And imagine with me at your very heart center there is the eternal flame of the divine. Staying with the breath. And with each inhale, we're fanning the flame. And as we know that the light of the divine is everywhere present, we're breathing in light. And this light is commingling with that eternal flame. And we're exhaling love. Breathing in light, exhaling love. So that with each inhale, this flame now grows in radiance, in brilliance, where there's now this ball of fire in our very heart center. A light that illuminates rather than consumes, that builds with each in-breath and radiates love. So we feel this in-breath of light and this exhale of love. That this light continues to grow in the same way we would blow up a balloon, extending now beyond the torso, side to side, front to back, top to bottom. In fact, maybe we'll even raise our hands with that expansion and feel the sensation of our heart center opening with each inhale. Breathing in light, exhaling love. So now we are sitting in this globe of light, staying with the breath. That this light now extends beyond. That the room itself now is this wonderful mix of light and love, an energetic interplay of the divine universe itself, that we are one with it. That we feel the sense of peace and power, of conscious unity in the moment. And from this place of connectedness with the one, connectedness with the one as each other, we call forth that which we need to support our own life. Bring that into the light and breathe in the light and exhale the love into that, whether it's employment or peace and serenity around our kids within this new education dynamic, for those within our families who work in the healthcare profession, breathing in light and exhaling love, knowing that they are aligned with that pattern of perfection just as we are. For anyone seeking positive cash flow from whatever source, that new career opportunity, a divine idea, or a divine download from the creative intelligence for a possible side hustle to increase our good, whatever our concerns are. Breathing in light and exhaling love. And so that we know with every in-breath then we are activating at an atomic level the very pattern of perfection that we are aligning with the infinite power and presence of the divine activating us at an atomic level, at a molecular level, every cell, every muscle, every bone, every sinew, every organ. All of our various systems within the body temple, that all of it is aligning with the power of the universe right now to demonstrate a resistant and strong immune system. There is nothing to fight, but just we're seeing the activation of light at a cellular level that just is raising and praising every aspect of the body temple, that we are aligning with that pattern of perfection, that intelligence. The same intelligence that heals a cut finger is the same intelligence that heals an appearance of cancer. That we are expelling anything unlike radiant good health. That we are opening our minds up to new and creative and dynamic ideas that support the structure of our life and the ways that we need and feel to not only feel but to be supported. That our heart is now open and connecting with those with whom we are in intimate and deep relationship with, both at a personal, at a familial level, that even at within our business, that our relationships are strong and create ways of connection, of solid servant leadership that raise everyone to their highest and best performance in every way. We take a deep breath. And in that release, we just consider the many things that we're grateful for. So here in Southern California, we're grateful for air conditioning and all the various ways that air conditioning is powered and the people behind it that keep it all going. The ability to pay our electric bill, a place to sleep tonight, food in our belly, clean water to drink, people to love and whom love us. To be able to live in a country that can live with the crazy, chaotic aspects of uncertainty to create eventually an expression of this more perfect union in its noisy cacophony of creative expression. So we take a deep breath and we just release it all. And so finally tonight, when we make our way to our beds, we lay down, put our heads to the pillow, We release gently into sleep, that we sleep deeply and restfully, dreaming sweet dreams, that we awaken feeling refreshed, revitalized, full of vim and vigor and excitement for the day, or a sense of connectedness for all of life that attunes our eyesight with insight that allows us to see the expression of the divine in all of its beautiful and multifaceted forms. Taking a deep breath. We release this word now unto that aspect of the mind of the divine. We release all our cares, concerns, gratitude, all of it that we release. Release all of it to its divine unfoldment, knowing that it is that aspect of the mind of the divine acting as law that knows only to say yes. So we release it to its divine unfoldment, knowing confidently that it is done. We release it, we let it go, allow it to be so, and together we acknowledge this by saying, and so it is. Amen. So, thank you for joining us this evening. Mike will be scrolling some announcements for some upcoming classes and so forth that we have coming up. We have opportunities to donate to support this center, and also to help support the community, the Navajo community, a chapter that's focused in Chinle, Arizona. I have a birthday coming up. Yeah. The old when I get older and losing my hair birthday. Yeah, many days from now. It's funny, I remember when that song came out with the Beatles, I never thought I'd be old enough to sing that song on my 64th birthday, but now it's here, and what do you know? So anyway, it's been delightful to spend some time with you here this evening. And so just, go in peace and know that you're loved. I'll see you on Sunday here on the YouTube channel, and I'll be here with Reverend Nancy Woods, our assistant minister. We have really two of the finest musicians really in the area, with our music director Ken Francis, and joining him Jason Goldstein, and I think the fiddler is in this week, so Eden Living Good, which she'll be in joining the lads as well, all safely, socially distanced. And until then, go in peace and know that you're loved. See you Sunday. Bye now.